Why the future doesn't need us. This section tackles the danger posed by science and technology unchecked by moral and ethical standards. It primarily draws insight from William Nelson Joy, 2000 articles. Why the future doesn't need us. An evaluating contemporary human experience in the midst of rapid development in science and technology. Such experience will be discussed to see whether it strengthens an enlightened human person functioning in the society or not. Now, I want you to look about this picture. Do you think that there will come a time that the future will no longer need humans? Can you imagine a future without the human race? Do you think that robots and machines can replace humans? And do you believe that there will come a time when human existence will be at the mercy of the robots and machines? It is also possible that the medical breakthroughs a future may be terribly wrong that the strain of drug and resistance viruses could wipe out the entire human race. For some, imagining a future without human is nearly synonymous to the end of the world. Many choose not to speculate about a future where humans cease to exist while the world remains. However, a dystopian society void of human presence is the subject of the many works of literature and film. The possibility of such society are also constant topic of debates. In April 2000, William Nelson Joy, an American computer scientist and a chief scientist of Sun Microsystems, wrote an article for Wired magazine entitled Why the Future Doesn't Need Us. In his article, Joy warned against the rapid rise of technology. He explained that 21st century technologies, genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics are becoming very powerful, that they can potentially bring about a new classes of accident, traits, and abuses. He further warned that these dangers are even more pressing because they do not require large facility or even a rare raw materials. Knowledge alone will make them potentially harmful to humans. Joy argued that robotics, genetic engineering, and nanotechnology pose much greater threats than technological developments that have come before. He particularly cited that the ability of nanobots to self-replicate, which could quickly get out of control. In the article, he cautioned humans against over-dependence on machines. He also stated that if machines are given the capacity to decide on their own, it will be impossible to predict how might behave in the future. In this case, the fate of the human race would be at the mercy of the machines.
So my report is all about Theodore Kaczynski. Theodore Kaczynski, also known as Unabomber, was an American mathematician and domestic terrorist. He wrote the book Unabomber Manifesto, where he described that the unintended consequences of the design and use of technology are clearly related to Murphy's Law, which is anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Joy illuminated his concerns through the book of Unabomber, which is Theodore Kaczynski. Theodore Kaczynski argued further that over-reliance on antibiotics lead to the great paradox of emerging antibiotic-resistant strains of dangerous bacteria. Example of this is the dichlorodiphenyl trichloroethane, which is a colorless crystalline chemical compound commonly known as DDT, that was originally developed as an insecticide. It is an organochlorine insecticide that was widely used for malaria control and in agriculture, but has since been banned in many countries due to its persistent environmental effects and potential health risk. the introduction of DDT is to combat malaria mosquito, for instance, only give rise to malaria parasite with multi-drug resistant genes. So that's all. Thank you.
So now let's continue to Joy's article. So since the publication of the article, Joy's arguments against 21st century technologies have received both criticism and expression of shared concern. Critics dismiss Joy's article for deliberately presenting information in an imprecise manner that absorb the larger picture or state of things. For one, John Seeley Brown and Paul DeGuide 2001 in their article A Response to Bill Joyce So Gloom, a techno-futurist, criticized Joyce's failure to consider social factors and only deliberately focused on one part of the larger picture. Others go as far as accusing Joy of being a neo-Luddite, someone who rejects new technologies and shows technophobic learnings. As a material, Joy's article tackles the unpleasant and uncomfortable possibilities that a senseless approach to scientific and technological advancement may bring. Whether Joy's propositions are a real possibility or an absolute moonshot, it is unavoidable to think of a future that will no longer need the human race. It makes thinking about the roles and obligations of every stakeholder a necessary component of scientific and technological advancement. In this case, it is primarily necessary that the scientific community, governments, and the businesses engage in a discussion to determine the safeguards of humans against the potential dangers of science technology. So in this topic, it discusses about the criticisms leveled against Bill Joy's article, which argued against the unchecked advancement of 21st century technologies. Critics argued that Joy presented information imprecisely, observing the bigger picture and neglecting crucial social factors. Some even labeled him a neo-Luddite, someone who rejects new technologies. However, the article's advancement poses significant risks, remaining a topic worthy of discussion and consideration regarding the roles and responsibilities of stakeholders and mitigating potential of dangers.